Yeah.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Podman Community Cabal meeting. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2023. We have two topics for today. The first one is about password and group entry handling with -- user and etc. that Justin's going to be leading us on. We also had a discussion about IPFS integration into Podman lined up. However, Dan and Brent are both not here, and Anders, who was kind of kicking that off for us, was kind of saying that maybe we ought to wait off for that one. So I think we're not going to discuss that unless we have somebody with strong opinions to do so today. And then Matt, had you wanted to talk a little bit about Podman versions coming out too?
Sure. I can give us an overview of what's going on.
Okay, we'll go and talk about that after Justin finishes. So with all that, Justin, welcome to the meeting. It's nice to have you here, and please lead off.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm just gonna share a screen for it. Okay, so I think with my taking the issue that she could make it, so that's what I could talk about this instead. So can you guys see me coming up? Okay.
No, we can see.
You can see the coming.
Yes, it looks good.
Okay. Oops. Copy. Okay, so this one, what happens is that Docker. Just okay. So what happens is Docker, if you use the backup user parameter, Docker doesn't create password entry, but Podman does. So there's a bit of an difference there. So I don't know what you guys want to do, whether you want to follow Docker's way of not putting a password entry at all, or stick with Podman's the way Podman behaves, where a password entry is created. So you can see here. That's with Podman. So I'm definitely. Okay. So this seems fit what's on the issue, and it's basically a series of Podman and Docker commands that run the same thing over and over. That's the ID command that runs it into password with the senior stuff and MP for the password file, and the same for the boot file. So you do something like these. And so that's basically the problem. Docker doesn't create entries at all. Whereas Podman does. And I think Chris also brought up the user host and that root host parameters, I believe. Sorry, host user, which basically takes a password entry from the host and adds it inside the container. And the same thing is true with host group, the host group command, I believe. Or no, it doesn't exist. And finally, we have the password entry. That's user entry. Oh, sorry, password. I feel like suddenly I'm okay and prepared. Okay, so we have password entry and the corresponding group entry commands. And in this case, the backslash user host parameter would just be a shorthand for basically saying man run backslash password entry. Then yeah, and password UID. Well, whatever UID choose, right? So the way I think about this is we have four sets of commands. Basically, that you can choose from. In this case, currently 5, with the possibility of adding something like user using, which would do the same thing as user host, which is take the password entry from the host, in this case, the group entry from the host, and put it inside the container that you're running. So moving forward, I think we can actually get rid of the user host and user group and just put in documentation somewhere that you can do password entry and password UID. Same goes for group. And that would eliminate those two. Anybody got any questions so far? I hope I'm not doubling this too much. Okay. So that's basically what it boils down to. We have these 6 options, and how do we move forward from there, and the different behaviors given what's mentioned in the issue and what the script what the script posted there. That's so I think that's it for now. I think it would be better if you guys have any comments on this.
Yeah, I had a hard time following a little bit as well, just only because the audio was kind of creaky or mumbly, I guess. I don't know. Any, Jonathan or Matt, do you have any thoughts based on this or the discussion that's been going on in the issues?
No, I did not follow the issue, so I guess it will be hard to I guess find consensus now in the meeting on how to move forward. But thanks a lot for presenting the problem. How would you prefer to move forward, Justin?
Okay, the way I see it, it's basically mentioned in is my audio better now? Can you guys hear me okay?
It is pretty bad, but somehow possible to understand you.
Okay. Okay. So the way I look at this really is for backdash user and backdash group, there are either the issue of well, first of all, we need to figure out whether the behavior of Podman, where it contains, where it adds the corresponding password entries into the container is retained or not, because that's a behavior that Docker doesn't have. And the second part would be whether we retain moving forward, since I believe the user host option, the packet entry option, and the group entries options are Podman specific. They don't exist in Docker. So either we have we retain user host, grabbing the packet entry from the host and putting it inside a container, and create a corresponding user group option that will do the same for groups. Or those two options are removed entirely and moved over to the password entry commands. Options of password and entry group entry options. Any comments so far? I think that this.
Can we get a link to the, I assume discussion is going on an issue? I don't have any thoughts, but I would love to comment.
Sorry, I didn't taste that. I assumed that,
I've just added it.
yeah, thanks.
It's in the-
I saw it in the agenda.
Yeah, it is in the agenda, and I just added it into the Google Meet chat as well.
Yeah.
If that's easier.
I will say that there's going to be resistance to the idea of moving any functionality away from the existing Python users, because that is the reason we added a lot of this was for convenience, and we recognize that it's not necessarily completely compatible. Not maybe it's not doing the right thing in all cases, but the ability to just do hyphen user, my user, and get fairly a fairly usable session is an important part of this. So I think that we don't necessarily want to take that.
Okay, so removing existing options is out. So I'm thinking we basically how about just reorganizing things? Let me write things down here. So okay, so for these two, for both the user and group options, these options have a password group and not. And then for user host exists, but user group does not. So you retain that those two. And or retain user host and add user group and add a password entry to the controller from the host. And then finally, these do exactly what they're already doing, which is just add an arbitrary password and group entry. How does that sound?
I don't. I don't know if we want to change the system behavior. We can definitely add additional options that are going to guarantee creation of or guarantee modification of the password files. I'm not at all opposed to that. My thought, though, is that if we were to modify the behavior of the existing user and group options, we are going to break people, even if it is arguably false.
And, the user and group options, the reason why I even thinking about them in the first place is because the behavior in Podman is different from the behavior in Docker, where Docker doesn't add password and group entries, and Podman does. And that's what the script of the issue demonstrates. So there are basically two. I guess you can split this up into two issues. First one being the behavior of backdash user and backdash group isn't exactly and it's not exact copy of how Docker would work. And the others are how it's a version of options that Podman has added will be very moving forward. So, what are your thoughts on that? That's a fun here.
So maybe the question is what is the problem with adding the entry? Is there an actual problem, like something preventing you from getting this to work, or is this just a difference in if you look at the file? Because I don't see why your container image would care that much,
Yes, I agree. So in this case, actually, I don't think that a deviation from how Docker behaves has an impact. Like, if Docker doesn't add passive entries, but Podman does, I don't really see any bad effect from that. So if you guys decide that having Podman behave differently from Docker in that manner is okay, then I think that's okay.
Yeah, because if I see it our way, if we would remove adding the entry, then stuff could change behavior, right? If you ask what's your username in the container, if there's no entry, then you cannot know. So for Podman users, that's a potential regression, and we try to avoid making this change. And if there's no reason for this change, just other than Docker compat, but there is no one who breaks, I don't see why we should change it at all.
Yes, yes. I'm only bringing it up because it is a difference in behavior. Not necessarily that there is anything wrong with the different way that Podman is handling.
If I remember correctly, this was originally added as convenience functionality for rootless Podman. I don't remember the exact context of that, but there is a reason why we put it in the first place. If I had an opinion here, it would be that it's bad that it's not consistent, because I don't have the code in front of me, but I kind of remember what it looks like, and I'm pretty sure that in 90-odd% of circumstances, we're not going to change password and group, but in the 10% of circumstances that we do, it could be confusing. So we definitely have a documentation problem that it's not going to be clear to users why these changes are happening necessarily. But what do you call it? I don't necessarily know.
The big use case, I think, is the user and keep ID, which sets your user ID, and then in the container you want, like the classic toolbox use case, basically. So you want your user copied in there and behave it like the same. I think it was probably added because of that, or something like that.
Okay, so I think that basically just written down my thoughts in the editor that I hope all of you can see. And I think that mentioned there's the toolbox situation where you would want the password entry created in the case of user MS keep ID. So there is, I guess, there is a reason why Podman doesn't behave the way Docker does in the creation of the user, the password and group entries. So I think that's a good reason to retain the deviation in behavior to allow for something like that. The next thing actually, we would we're going to the functionality of the group option. The other thing is, let me just highlight this. Okay, so in the backdash user option, it copies the name of the user and adds it to the password entry. So that's where we see, core, etc., and then the shell at the end. And below that is the line that shows the group entry. And in this case, instead of copying the group of core, which I believe is core in this case, since it's core OS, it just sets the name to 1000, which is the same as a UID. So it doesn't actually set the name itself, or the name of the group from the host. I would think if we're adding a group entry, or if you're using a command that's supposed to copy from the host, then it should copy the name as well, instead of using the group ID as the name. So, any comments on that one? I will keep it controlled. Okay. I think just highlight that so that maybe you guys need to think about it some more.
I think using group ID in the group name field is just not going to work. So if we are doing that, that's a bug. I don't know whether it's a bug that we can always fix. I'm not familiar with the code, but there's definitely something there.
Okay. So for this, host for
Probably. I mean, we can invent an entirely new random name. Just the principle of the thing is that there has to be a name in there. Or maybe actually not. I'm sorry, if we are adding an entry, we can decide on a name, and then the name can be a number, which is confusing, but works.
yeah. I guess one way to think about this is we're grouping commands based on whether they're actually even going to look at the password and group entries of the host or not. So in the case of, I think, the dash user and dash group options, they should be looking at the entries of the host and copying the relevant information into the container. In this case, since the group 1000 exists and has a name on the host, then it should be copied into the container and not just use the UID as the name. And then for the next set, for the next set of two, which is user host, or rather, user group, that's an option that exists right now. But if we do have that, then both of these will also look at the host and copy the appropriate entries. It's only really method entry and group entry, the last two, which should allow you to add an arbitrary password and group entry inside a container. And so password and group entry should be something that you can specify multiple times to enter the an arbitrary number of password entries and group entries. And the same is true for user host and an imaginary user group option. But instead of being arbitrary, it's just copying entries that already exist on the host. And the user and the group entry meanwhile, user and group options meanwhile, um, have to be entries that exist on the host. No, they don't actually. Because they could be in the password file of the container as well, which I think if you guys look at the in the issue, I put down some pseudo for how the dash user and dash group options could potentially behave. And this takes into account whether there's already a password entry with specific UID and GID in the container or not, and whether they should be copied from the host or not.
Okay, So I'm hearing a bit of silence here, and I think people need some time to digest and take a look at the issue on GitHub. And we probably ought to wrap this up in a few more minutes. Justin, is there anything else you'd like to ask or say?
No, it's not really something that, it's just food for thought. It's not really something that has to be solved immediately. It's just a difference in behavior that has been noticed. And if nobody has any other comments, I think it's something that we can definitely think about for a while. And if anybody wants any clarifications, you can ping me in the IRC channel or on Matrix. So
I'm going to tag Dan Walsh on this issue that is linked. He's not in the meeting right now, but he is, I think he was the original instigator behind basically the changes to high definition group that make changes to the password and group files. So I'm going to see if he has anything. Yes, it's kind of unfortunate not here right now, but we'll see. Maybe he will.
okay. Yeah. So if you guys don't have any more opinions, that's okay. I think we're done. If you guys think I should write clear version of this down, then just let me know. And that's the decision.
Sorry, I'm talking away on mute, which isn't very helpful at all. All right, Justin, thank you so much for coming today and getting this discussion going. And I'm sure it'll continue on inside GitHub and in IRC and Matrix going forward. Matt, you have Podman release coming up pretty soon. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So we are getting ready for Podman 4.6. We are in RC2 right now, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, but I expect a final release sometime early next week. Is that what we were planning, or am I wrong about that?
I thought we were putting the release today.
Oh, okay, that's earlier than I was expecting, but that gives everyone something to look forward to after this. So Podman 4.6, final probably today. We are still expecting to do a 4.7. We were expecting to do it this summer, but honestly, at this point, it's probably going to slip into September. But I would expect a 4.7 in early fall, I would call it, and then a 4.8 somewhere in the February-ish time frame. Now, 4.6 is it's a moderately large release. It's a fairly substantial feature release. It's been a while since I looked at the release notes, but it's going to have some interesting things. I think this is not. Is this one of the big releases for Podman Machine? I'm thinking we added something big there, but it's slipping my mind.
Not a big feature, but a big fix, I think, for stabilization.
Okay, that's where. Yeah, we have a lot of bug fixes in system service. We have a spattering of feature releases everywhere. And yeah, generally speaking, I'm expecting a 4.6.1 in a week or so that'll have a bunch of bug fixes in it based on any issues the release happens. And then a 4.7, maybe 6 weeks thereafter. And 4.7 is going to include a couple other interesting features. I'm hopeful that we can get some additional Windows support in for Podman Machine, especially Podman on Hyper-V. We're putting a lot of work in there. And I don't want to speak for Brett because he's not here. Maybe we will also have some things with OSX native virtualization. Let's see. Other than that, probably the Podman Compose work that Valentin has been working on. The article that just landed, so feel free to look at that and comment. Yeah, that's about it schedule-wise. Any questions?
I'm hearing silence.
When would this come to the Podman machine or CoreOS?
Usually we expect a 4 to 6 week. Basically, we have to get into Fedora, then we have to work our way through the Fedora CoreOS unstable, et cetera, streams until it's unstable. So we usually expect to lag by about a month to 6 weeks. It could easily be faster than that, but it usually takes us a couple weeks to get Fedora, a couple weeks beyond that to get included in FBOSS, Compose, et cetera. So there is a substantial time lag.
That's not this particular Podman release, but any Podman release in general, right?
Yeah, like if it is a particularly important release, like if we had some absolutely critical bug fix in, there are ways we can expedite, but we prefer not to do that because it puts more workload on us, it puts more workload on the FCOS team, and generally speaking, no one likes doing this. So if we do not have something extremely urgent, we're going to go through the normal SOAP process, which just, it takes time because we have to do a bunch of different things in order, and each of them happens on specific timescales. I believe it's every 2 weeks they do an FCOS Compose. So if we catch it at the right time, it could be only a day before we get to FCOS. But if we catch it at the wrong time, it's easily 2 weeks before it happens.
Okay, sounds
Yeah,
good.
thanks.
Right. I'm not sure if I mentioned this after I started the recording, but we're going to pass on the IPFS integration into Podman topic that we had on the agenda today. We're going to push that out to later, or perhaps you can postpone it for the discussions to go offline on that. And then given that, I'm going to open up to any topics or questions at this point in the open discussion session. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about or ask questions about? These two sounding very quiet. Well, while you're considering, I'll just note when our next two meetings are. Our next meeting will be for the Cabal again, will be Thursday, August 16th, 2023 at 11 a.m. And our community meeting is coming up very soon. It's actually just a little under 2 weeks now, I guess. And that's going to be on Tuesday, August 1st, also at 11 a.m. I would love to have topics for either. I don't think I have one topic for the community meeting. I forget what it is right now, but I don't have any for the Cabal at this point. So if you have suggestions for topics that you'd like to see, or better yet, present on for either of those meetings, I'd love to hear it. So one last call. Any further questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll stop the recording.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks. Sorry, guys. I did a